Good evening, sports fans, and welcome to the All Balls Sports Show, a discussion of any and all sports, local, regional, and national. And now, here are your hosts, Dan James, Eddie Bobo, Ty Cobb, and the coach, Vance Ballou.
And a very pleasant good evening. Thank you, Bill Jones. Welcome into the All the Ball Sports Show, very first show for 2019. Glad to have everybody here. Good holiday for everybody, I'm to assume that we had, huh?
We survived it
here too.
Yeah, good. Glad to have you back.
Glad to be here.
Well, what we had to do is shift priorities to Wednesday now that we have everybody back and everybody's happy and we got a nice day and things are good.
You know, I noticed because they pay me to pay attention to things,
Uh-huh.
and I noticed everybody's wearing orange except Coach Blue over here, but I get it. I know where his blood runs, so I just was hoping there would be some form of orange on him tonight. But
well, I would have if I got the memo. I would have wore orange, but didn't.
Well,
if you'd have done a combination of purple and orange, though, it would have been
Clemson.
But the thing is, I'm not wearing orange either.
Very good. And I like that sweatshirt. Too,
Thank
by
you.
The way.
Thank you.
Outstanding.
By the way, I'll
was
get
that
up.
a TV show?
Yeah, it was.
It was. Yeah.
WKRP in Cincinnati, one of my favorite shows of the 70s. You have no clue what it is.
Listen to
As
this
God
young-
is my
young
witness.
guy
I
here.
thought turkeys could fly.
television. One program that ever was.
Yeah.
The turkey drop.
Yep.
Yep.
If you don't see any episode at all of
Go to
WKRP
YouTube for the turkey drop.
for the turkey drop.
Yeah.
Les Nesman is calling it like the Hindenburg. The newsman. It's funny.
For a minute, I thought you might have worked there and been on the show. I wasn't sure. 'Cause you've been around a while.
But it was
You can see all this build-up I've had.
Wipe
since
that
I've been-
blood off your nose there, Dan. He just tagged you.
thank you, appreciate that. But anyway, my friend Amy is the one who got me the KRP shirt, got me the KRP cup. So it's wonderful, man. I'm telling you. Thank you, Amy, so much. That was my Christmas present.
So I think we start the show off. We got a lot to talk about.
Man, we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. There's been earth-shattering events that have happened.
And the only coach still left at Alabama is Nick Saban. So, sorry, Coach.
Butch is not officially left. Butch is still
I
there.
said coaches. I said coaches left at Alabama. Is he really a coach?
No, he was an advisor.
He was an advisor.
And still is an
intern.
Was he really a coach?
Was he an intern?
Although there were a lot of Alabama fans that thought that Butch was calling the offensive plays.
He did call the field goal, the fake field goal.
Yeah, we'll hang that one on.
I think Mr. Massey and I talked about that one. That was
We
a Butch,
did.
guy,
That
Butch
was a
Jones
Butch
call.
Brick by brick.
Caves
That
quick.
famous hurry up and punt offense.
Yeah, there you go. Anyway, what we're going to start off with, now that we're all happy and full of jocularity, that's a word from KRP, by the way. I just wanted
It's,
to let you know
it's
that.
also from MASH.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Father McKay.
We're going to bring on Tony Massey, our city manager, and also avid sports fanatic when it comes to the University of Tennessee and other sports as well. But we're going to talk about the Mid-State Classic, which is coming up on March 12th. Knowing that there are scheduling difficulties trying to get this game on the schedule for Ralph and Karen Weekly, which is why we've had to move it back to March 12th.
Correct. Yeah. We tried to get him in April, and we were lucky last year. When they get into their SEC schedules, which is that time of year, it's really hard to get them out of Knoxville, and we've had a difficult time. It's not that they don't want to. It's just it's a scheduling snafu, and it's how do you want to put this? The other SEC teams, they really don't want to play Tennessee. Because believe me, we've reached out to several, and we had Auburn that agreed to come up
Yeah,
here.
they
Of course,
quit.
and you saw what happened there, and we can. Yeah, that was officially a cold out, but the real reason is they didn't want to play Tennessee either.
That's right.
Nope.
They really didn't, and Ralph Weekly told me that afterwards. And we had another couple of SEC teams, and we thought we were going to get one of them last year, and it fell through. But fortunately, we got Memphis, which turned out to be. So we actually had that Memphis UT thing going before Penny Hardaway and Rick Barnes. So
There you go.
there you go. little bit more well behaved. I will say.
You were so excited about Memphis. I mean, you were excited from the time they announced the fact that Memphis was coming here.
Yep. And I've been impressed with Coach Boo from day one since Mr. Massey introduced her to me. I mean, she's a top-notch coach. It'll probably be coaching in the SEC or somewhere one day. So they've got a great program down there.
True. So with all that being said, MTSU indicated that they'd love to come back and take another shot at UT because, they came within a whisker of beating Tennessee
they did.
the first 5 years ago. And they've got a much better program
5
now.
years, man. I've been calling that thing 5 years.
2014.
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah. Our first year out there on a platform in the middle
on a lift.
on a lift in the middle of nowhere, and cold. It was cold, but we got through it.
We felt so sorry for you. We built a press box.
I know.
It was nice and toasted last 2 years.
Yes, it was. Yeah. It was.
And Mac wanted me to let you know that we've got the new scoreboard on order.
Good deal.
And hope to have it in place and erected before the game in about 5 weeks.
And like he said, we talked about it the other day at the swearing in at McDowell for Chaz Mulder, that at the time it was not designed for what we're doing out there.
Right.
That was a perfect place for the scoreboard.
Recreational league ball fields.
Yeah. Exactly.
And so we've had to modify it, and we've done that, and have done a pretty good job at it, I think.
And the Ridley Sports Complex is really coming along out there, too, with all the soccer fields and everything else.
Let me talk about that for a second, and we'll get back on the game. We're getting pretty close to being finished with the soccer complex. We're probably about 90% done, and should be finished with everything, with the exception of paving the parking lot, because we can't do that because it's the middle of winter, but we'll be able to put a base down there for the softball game in March. So we'll be able to park another 500-plus cars down there next year that we haven't been able to do in the past. So that's going to be a big plus for us. The event center, which will host a lot of our activities there, feed the teams, pregame and all that, that's about 95% finished too. So we're getting there, and you're going to be really pleased when we open it up and let the public see it. It's on par with the softball complex. It's every bit as nice.
Great.
So, and that'll be next fall. But so much for Ridley. Getting back to the ball game. So, MTSU has made a lot of improvement to their program, and they won 37 games last year. Got in the NCAA tournament for the very first time in history. So, the strength of scheduling that's so important to them, that made it more attractive to Tennessee to play MTSU this go round, because it helps both of them, as far as that goes. So Ralph and Karen Weekly didn't have any qualms at all about playing MTSU. Now, and I'll say that if MTSU had won that first game,
that may have been the inaugural and the only.
That's right, the first and final Mid-State Classic. So, but I have to be neutral, so I won't say anything about the good guys winning. But it turned out okay. It turned out okay, and Jeff Breeden, he's a heck of a guy, and it's a delight to work with him too, just like with the Weeklies. And just like Ty said last year, they don't make human beings any better than Natalie Poole. She's top door, classy lady, and she'll be a softball coach at a big school one day. I'm convinced of that.
Now, taking it different than we've done in the past, in order to keep the ball teams from getting out of here at a very late hour, you're going to move all the autograph sessions to prior to the game.
That's a request that we had from the coaches, because in the past it's been really late before they get out of here, and they're driving straight back to Knoxville, and they're not getting up there 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and that's pretty tough on the girls. And so we were asked if we could maybe do an hour session before the game. So that's really the only thing that's going to change logistically from in the past. The rest of it would be pretty much the same.
So who's going to open up? We're going to have Columbia State back again?
Yeah, against Vols State.
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. You can go ahead and speak to it if you want to.
Well, that's all I knew, that they were going to be playing.
Yeah.
But Eddie, that's a good game.
Yeah.
And I tell you, it went 13 innings last year.
Yes. Yep.
Right.
That game went like 3.5 hours.
Some good talent.
Yeah, it was tight. And the year before that,
Well, it got to the point where Eddie and I were looking at each other going, is this thing ever going to end?
I know. I know.
You know,
and you're looking at the press box going,
I'm looking
is
at
this
my
thing
watch.
ever going to end?
Yeah.
it was one of those deals. They had a big lead going into the last inning, and then the next thing you know, here we go.
Well, one would get up by 2 or 3, and then the other one come
Yeah.
back at the bottom of the inning and tie it up.
Tied up.
That happened like 2 or 3 times, didn't it? Yeah.
Yep.
And the year before that, that was a really good game with Columbia State and Calhoun.
Yeah.
State out of Alabama.
Calhoun.
If you remember that one, that was a nip and tuck. And that went in the extra innings, too. I think Columbia State maybe scored a home run, maybe the bottom in 8th or 9th to win it. So, yeah, they've really had some good JUCO games out there.
Well, I want to say that Eddie and I enjoy doing what we do out there for game day. And
Appreciate that. Glad to have
it's
you.
fun. It's fun.
Oh, it's a blast. Yeah.
Well, and I think you just touched on what we want to do for everybody that comes out there. We want them to have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
And we've tried to take this and turn it into more than just a ball game, turn it into an event. That's why, we really roll out the carpet for the teams. Last year we had a dinner for the Memphis team at Southern Trey the night before. We had a band at the hotel where UT was staying when they went in to eat, playing Rocky Top for them.
Several times.
Several times. That's right. That's right. So last year the Memphis team got to tour the James K. Polk home. So we wanted to get a little history and culture and learn about Columbia while they're here. And we've had Adam Southern speak to them in the past. And we've had Bob Duncan do that too in years past. So we want them to, when they leave, again, that they haven't just played a ball game, but they've been part of something that they really enjoyed, and because we want them to come back. Natalie Poole, if we come, I think she's probably disappointed because we didn't call and ask her to come back this year.
Really?
Yeah, I really do. And Jeff Breeden, it didn't take 10 seconds. Once we called him up and said, "Yes."
Yeah.
So
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about all of us out there. We're going to treat you so many ways. You got to like one of them.
That's true. That's true.
And it still amazes me the pop and the bat that a lot of these girls have, and we're talking some of the smaller statured girls, and some of them can jack that ball, all over the place.
And one thing that we hoped would have happened is happening, and that is some of these girls that are either played high school ball here, middle school ball,
Right.
or in Columbia State have actually ended up moving on to play.
Right.
Memphis, girl on her team, played
Right.
at the
Columbia
girl that
State.
hit the home run. I was talking about that Calhoun
Grand
First Station.
Slam.
She's on the Memphis team.
Yeah.
She plays for Memphis.
Pretty neat.
And then we had the young lady that's at Zion Academy that signed with Tennessee.
Yeah.
So you think that
And-
Ralph and Karen might be looking at these girls from these JUCO schools and saying, there may be some talent there that we might be able to use?
He told me that as a rule that they don't recruit JUCO kids, but if there's an exceptional talent, I know the girl that we just mentioned, they did take a look at her. So they're not going to turn down an All-American type kid for sure. But when I talked to him about the game and all that, and congratulate him, they had the number one recruiting class in America. I don't know if you saw that or not in softball.
Yeah.
And the girl from Zion Academy, and I can't recall the girl's name right now. If any of you remember who she is.
No. Can't recall it either.
But I told Ralph, I said, we've always wondered if some of these 12, 13-year-old kids, 10-year-old girls out there watching the game one day, they might be. And that was the case because this girl had been to the first game. She'd been to every one. And so there's other reasons why they like to come over here and play us. It's called recruiting.
Yeah.
And the same thing with MTSU and everybody else that we've had over here.
So it's going to be coming up on March 12th. What time
Right.
will the Columbia State game get underway?
The Columbia State game, I believe we've got scheduled for around 1 o'clock that day.
Okay.
I'll double check on that. And then the Tennessee middle game will be at 6. We'll have a pregame meal for both the teams earlier in the afternoon, and then they'll have their autograph session, and they'll go through their warm-ups and all that. Every year we have, when we put the tickets on sale, sold an average of about 1,000 tickets the first week.
Wow.
Wow.
every game. So
Now, tickets are on sale now, right?
no, they start Tuesday.
Okay.
That was one thing.
Next Tuesday.
Yeah,
Okay.
starting right after the holiday, and they'll be at the Rainey House, and you can either drop by and pick them up, or a lot of people are calling in now to just order their tickets over the phone. Next year, we hope to have it where you can do it online.
I know Mac was saying that the demand was getting so high that he had a lot of folks who were begging, like last year, for tickets.
That's a fair statement. Yeah, it's a hot ticket, and we probably.
If Eddie and I had tickets, we'd have sold them for I'd have scalped some tickets.
Well, and we've heard some rumors. There's been a little bit of that's gone on.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you only allow so many people because the park's only so big.
Right. We've got, with the additions we made,
right.
We've got 1,800 permanent seats out there, and then we bring in another 1,200 temporary, as you know.
Yep.
We go around the outfield out there. So that's 3,000 seats that we can sort of guarantee you that you've got a place to sit. And we'll fudge that a little bit. We'll actually go over that because some people never do sit, the whole time we're out there. Sure. But it's we don't want it to be like coming out of Neyland Stadium out of a football game. There's so many people there, you can't enjoy yourself. And so somewhere between 3,000 and 3,500, that's sort of that's a good. And Chief Cobb over here, he has to worry about it because we've got crowd control. and there's a lot that goes into the prep. And I thought we'd take a couple of minutes tonight between the two of us and kind of tell you what we do to get ready for the game. It's just like a big high school football game. You get a big crowd. You got to take into account for that. So we try to have an overflow crowd, but we don't want it so crowded that everyone's complaining because I'm not coming back here. This is nuts, because there's too many people here. So, and I think we've got a happy medium with what we're doing there.
And I want to remind fans, we love you, but don't set your own seats in the aisleways where people can't walk.
Yeah, we have to be the bad guy and tell them they got to take their seats up because it blocks. And we had an issue. We actually had someone last year that refused to move so someone in a wheelchair could go in the handicap spot.
Right.
Yep. Because they'd plopped out and put a chair there. So, that's part of it. So.
I'm leaving the security to somebody else, man. I'm in my warm press box.
Right. That's his job in Chief Potts. But I wanted to give the telephone number for those who want to call the Rainey House beginning Tuesday and just order their tickets. It's 388-8119. 931-388-8119. And
get your tickets early.
Get them early. That's right. And like I said, we haven't had a problem with people finding where the Rainey House is. The first year that we did this, back in 2014, of course, we opened up at 7:30. We had people out there at 6 o'clock in the morning in the parking lot waiting.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, we had a line that probably had about 200-300 people in it that
Goodness
first
gracious.
year. Oh, yeah. And they were buying like 15 and 20. We had someone that came over from Waynesboro. They had bought like 50 tickets. And same thing, someone came over from Lewisburg. Last year, we had someone come over from Winchester and bought 100 tickets the first day.
So there is no limit on how many you can buy?
No, there's no limit. It's just like first come, first serve. And we've tried to keep it at $10 because we feel that that's not too expensive. And believe me, it doesn't cover the cost of putting all this together.
You get $1 million worth of entertainment for only $10.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Well, that's quite an accomplishment to be expecting 3,000 people to attend, and I guess you could say this is the premier women's softball game of the year off campus. Away from the two schools' home sites. And what brought about that? Why is this event in Columbia, and why do you think it's been so successful?
Well, I've known the Weeklies for a long time, and when I was the city manager in Bristol some years ago, we did this up there, and we called it the State Line Classic, and we had Virginia Tech come down every year and play Tennessee, and we very similar. When you're in Bristol, pay attention to what they do at the Bristol Motor Speedway. And I took some good notes about how they treat their fans, how they treat over their visitors that come in there. And, when you leave Bristol, you're talking about can't wait till you get back. And that is Bruton Smith's #1 goal. So we want to do the same thing whenever we're hosting these softball games with these teams, whether it's Tennessee, MTSU, Memphis, whoever, that we want them happy about coming back. And the ultimate compliment to that is I was up there a year plus ago and getting a tour of the softball complex and all that. And Ralph Wigley told me, he said, every summer, when we come back, the girls ask, are we going to Columbia?
Really?
Wow.
Are we going back to Columbia? So you can't beat that. You can't beat that. And we always, we have a trophy that we give out, and they have those trophies prominently displayed in the lounge where the girls go and hang out, because he walked in there and showed them to me. So that's pretty neat too. That's pretty neat too. So
has Ralph ever said the girls have asked, are we there yet?
Yeah,
because that is a long haul from UT to here.
I'll let you ask him that.
No, I'm not, no. I leave Ralph and Karen to what they do. So
and a plug for them, of course, being Tennessee alumni. I'm really proud of them, but they stand for everything that's right in college athletics. They're good people.
Now their program didn't start till what, 2004, something like that?
No, it goes back to the 1997, 98, somewhere around in there. It was after all the Title IX legislation, and the colleges had to start providing women's athletic teams. Because we actually started that game before Ralph and Karen were there with his predecessor, and I can't even think of his name right now. And it's kind of a neat thing. I'll kind of backpedal a little bit to my Bristol days. We built a sports complex there, something similar, not quite as nice as what we've got going on at Ridley. And for the inaugural event, I got the Bristol Motor Speedway to be the sponsor, and they picked up the tab to fly Notre Dame down. Wow. So we had Notre Dame play Tennessee in the opening game at that sports complex in Bristol, and that was a lot of fun. And let me tell you, Notre Dame was tough, and they wore Tennessee's butt out. But we also had Virginia Tech. We did had a two-day round robin tournament thing with Virginia Tech participating. We had University of Kentucky as part of it, so that was a lot of fun. So Coach, to get back to your question, I guess I've been doing this for a while now, and just brought the idea here, and glad it worked out. We couldn't call it the State Line Classic, obviously, though. But we can call it the Mid-State Classic.
And the rest, as they say, is history.
It's the rest of as Paul Harvey would say.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Tony has some history that actually got the conversation for the Battle of Bristol.
True.
Started up, and
the football game between the two of them. Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we were already playing the softball game, and he's dead and gone now, bless his heart. The track manager, a guy named Jeff Bird, was just top-notch guy. Everything you see about Bristol now, it's all class. It's all classy how they do things. That goes right back to him. We were in his office. It's right around the time Tennessee won the national championship, and about 98 or so, and 98, 99, somewhere around in there. And he said, "What do you think about that?" And I said, "I think it's fantastic. Let's do it." And he reached out and talked to Virginia Tech coach, who was Frank Beamer. Beamer was all for it. And I knew some of the Tennessee assistant coaches back then, John Chavis, Dan Brooks, Steve Caldwell, those guys, and mentioned it to them. They talked to Fulmer. Fulmer was for it. But the athletic director at the University of Tennessee at the time said no. And so it didn't happen.
I'll be honest with you. A lot of people realize that, because I remember just thinking, me and Mr. Massey's conversations, I remember back then remembering where it was being held up. So you had, just through informal communication, people talking about it and wanting that to happen based off their ideas, but it was being stopped towards the top in the athletics.
Yeah.
So
it's a great idea, and its time just wasn't quite there yet. But it turned out pretty good a couple of years ago when they did it.
Yeah.
And got a lot of feet.
But the timing had to be right too. When Bristol was going to undergo some revitalization, to where they could actually do that, take out the infield in order to rebuild for the following season.
Oh yeah. Well, Bruton Smith, they already hired their engineering firm and figured out what all they had to do to it to make it ready for the football game. They had taken several steps down that road to
I had someone
do that football game.
When that game was going on, I had someone text me a picture of where they were sitting, and I'm like, really? You got tickets to this where you were sitting, really?
That's why I didn't go.
It was much nicer on TV.
Absolutely. Talk to anybody that was there, and they'll tell you.
But the guys that had the best seats were the ones up in the
the luxury
TVs
boxes.
No, the TV in the
because they could watch it. They could watch it on
Straight
TV.
down.
Right.
Yeah. That's
Well,
right.
That's a great place to watch a race too, and it's not against Bristol Motor Speedway, but when you think about NASCAR, it really doesn't affect NASCAR because they can't draw the attendance that the football games can now anyway. I mean, really.
Yeah,
I mean, NASCAR has.
No, it's dropped
It's
off.
not Bristol.
agree.
It's
It's a great
NASCAR
place.
It's a
themselves.
great place to watch, but if you got him on one side and a 300-pound woman on the other side,
Well, there must
It
be
could be-
And
something.
the woman beating him to death.
There must be a story you haven't told us because I did not know y'all have been to Bristol together.
Yeah,
And
they
I'm
have.
Oh, yeah.
Since
Yeah.
we regress, and I'll tell you a funny story about what happened when I was city manager in Bristol. I don't think I've shared this, but we ran out of water. Did I tell you about that one?
Yeah, you told me.
Yeah, Ty knows. He'll just keep straight faced. And Chip knows. Yeah. Well, back when I was there, Bruton Smith had just bought the track, and it was a 60,000 bleachers with a bunch of porta toilets by a guy named Larry Carrier, and he sold it to Bruton, and they start spending millions and millions of dollars, and they'd rush construction crews in, and they'd add 10 or 15,000 seats, and they'd literally pack up and get out the week before the next race, and that was going on for a few years. So that we saw it going from like 70 to 80 to 90 to 100, and it got up about 110,000 or so. And I think it was the fall race of 1999. They do a lot of things well there. They're very sharp, very smart. But one thing they didn't think about is that they weren't served by the city of Bristol water. They were served by the Bluff City Utility District, which is about like the Murray County Water Utility District. Just a small mom and pop kind of thing.
Right.
And Dan, what do you do all day in Bristol before you have a night race? You drink. You drink.
A lot.
A lot.
A lot.
That's right. Well, some people do.
No.
So,
remember the geographic area where you are. That's going to go on all day.
and a NASCAR fans.
And they're NASCAR fans.
Right.
Absolutely. Anyway, with that being said, so the race gets started, and you know what makes Bristol so popular is what, Ty?
That short track.
And what are they doing? Bumping and
Bumping.
and crashing.
It's Southern racing. It's
racing the way.
Deep roots.
Rubbing is racing.
It's like dirt tracks around here.
Swapping paint.
Trading that paint. That's right.
It's back when
Actually, it's decals.
it's
but-
back, Mr. Massey, isn't it? It's back when NASCAR was a contact sport.
That's right.
Where now it's not.
So anyway, right on cue, about 25, 30 laps in that thing, a big pile crash thing. So everyone goes run into the restrooms,
Yeah,
clean it.
and they hit those urinals, hit those toilets, Chip, and they suck that water utility dry. So now for the next 3 hours, there's no water for 110,000 people. Imagine Neyland Stadium not having water, or any one of the big college stadiums.
Wow.
Yeah, it wasn't too funny that night, but we can laugh about it today.
So did they finally get on the Bristol utility?
Yeah, Monday. That Monday, Jeff was in my office.
Didn't take long.
Didn't take long, and we ran the line down to them. And we're happy to do it because what all they meant to the whole region, not only the city of Bristol. So,
I bet that was a pretty big line, one of those 36 inches.
well, just imagine what were they doing out in the stands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let your imagination wander a little bit.
Wow. Well,
But anyway, get back to the softball game.
Since we've been around the block.
Since we took a little trip down, memory
Memory
lane
lane.
there. Chief, why don't you tell them a little bit of what all goes into the preparation for the game? Then I got a few things that we do From partial rec standpoint, but go ahead.
It's definitely we plan. One thing from emergency management standpoint and public safety is police and fire and department heads will sit down and review mass gathering, public works, look at our crowd control, make sure we have fire protection and EMS services along with police services. And I know, Eddie, you and Dan have seen it. We strategically locate equipment where it's supposed to be, make sure the parking is accessible to the number of people that are coming, where we can get them in and out. We use a drone to kind of evaluate that too with our drone technology. We also have one of the mules that can transport whether we had an injured player or an injured fan. We're able to quickly get them out of there and get them transported to a hospital. So it's a lot of time and effort, and I don't want to say every department's involved. So it's not just fire department, but everybody's involved in planning and good leadership team. And like y'all commented, and that's what I like to hear, Mr. Massey does too, is how successful it's been. And we've had very few problems, and we want to keep it that way.
Well, you've got to have an avenue to get those folks out in the case you've got somebody that gets seriously hurt.
Correct.
And you've got to have a place to land life flight.
Or there's a
if
heart
you
attack,
need to. Or a heart attack,
or
yeah.
something like
And,
that.
and I'm glad you brought them up. They're aware. We even invite them to the game to land in a separate field, but life flight's nearby at the Mount Pleasant Murray County Airport. So we have all those resources if we need them. But we're very well prepared, and every year we look at where we can improve, and just like we do with Mule Day and other events. But there is a lot of time, as Mr. Massey said, with staff and department heads to make sure we have a safe event and that everybody goes home happy.
Well, I don't know about Eddie, but I feel safe in knowing that I know the fire chief, so I can get in and out of there pretty good.
You need to know, make sure you know the city manager.
That's
too.
right. Oh, I do know city manager.
Yeah, and as long as we have our little parking spot where we need to be.
I'm good. But we get there at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
The city manager.
And you got my wife bringing you food.
That's
so.
true. There you go. That's right.
There you
Exactly. Connie does a great job. Connie Massey, give you a shout out because you take care of us in the press box.
She's watching tonight, so
I know.
I'm usually watching the game with Connie, and I'm with Mr. Massey at the Mid-State Classic. So
Yeah, but where are you? You sneak in
I
that.
visit the press box when it's very cold. Vice Mayor Martin was there with me last year.
I
and
know.
Yeah.
Slipped out, but I do come in and check on y'all, and then I get back out there with Mr. Massey and the crew. And it's a fun night. It really is.
Mayor Dickey come in the press box, and we made him stay in there because it was so cold out.
He needed to.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
A few notes here that Mike gave me I want to just share with you in addition to what you heard from Chief Cobb, what we do from a public safety standpoint to get ready. We actually started working on that field last fall, and they'll put a special winter ride. Well, that's what we do. We put a special winter ride down on it, and then they'll mow it, fertilize it, aerate it on a regular basis. So by the time that game rolls around, it's just green as it can be. And then right after that, they'll poison it and kill it. And then they'll have a summer Bermuda that'll come to.
I put it up against any SEC
Well,
field.
if you don't mind, if you'll have those guys come over here when they're done and just, if you got a little extra overtime for them, just bring them here.
I hear you. Yeah, and our folks do a great job. And a shout out to Bill Marbett, too, because he provides a lot of free
he's out there.
help.
The time that they were supposed to have played Auburn, we watched Bill and his crew work their magic on, because there was a lake out there around second base.
Yeah.
And,
But by the time he got
by
through.
the time the Tennessee-Auburn game was supposed to have happened, he had the field ready.
Yeah.
I mean, it was playable. But, of course, Auburn then, we're not going to play. It's too
They were on
cold.
the bus and gone.
Oh, yeah, they were. Yeah, they were out
They
here.
didn't want to play that game. We were together.
Well,
that whole
none of
morning.
us are Auburn fans, so we can trash them out here.
We were making the decision to call it. Remember? You and I were together.
And that coach was he was a pickle.
He was ready to call it. He was.
Yeah, he was a pickle.
Funny thing was, Matt kept calling. He said, "You guys still there at the press box?" I said, "Man, we're with you all day long. We've been here all day. We're gonna stay with you. Until you tell us to go home. We're with you here until cows come home."
Or they quit feeding you.
But you know,
that too. But I mean,
Well, and we decided to have the home run derby contest.
Yeah, we did.
I was getting ready to say, and you know, we had over 1,000 people hang around to watch that. You
Yeah.
remember that?
yeah,
And I
we
tell you
did.
what,
we did.
There was some
That
hitting
was-
going on there, competition
yeah.
for it.
That just
And-
kind of shows you the power of the T, you know.
And
I'm
so
telling
having
you.
that kind of support.
So the
God,
trophy
it was cold.
for the
It
for
was
the winner of the
cold.
game.
It was a winter night.
The
Yeah.
team, thing. Instead of going to the team, it went to the girl who hit the most home runs.
Yeah,
It was Megan Gregg, you know, the girl that
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
this year led the team in home runs. It was her. I'm pretty sure. So, one thing that's kind of neat that we do too, and I didn't even know this till I was asking Mac. I said, "Where are the umpires? Who do we get? Who do we use?" He said, "Oh, we use SEC umpires."
Really?
That's pretty neat, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
They've got some contacts where they find some umpires that live within, not too far away. That'll come in and they go through the SEC office and we get them.
Cool.
That is pretty neat, isn't it? Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Did you know you were paying for SEC?
I do now.
It's important though.
Remember, I
Very
told you that
important.
$10 doesn't cover the cost.
Yeah.
Good officiating.
And speaking of the cost, it's about $40,000 to $50,000 overall is what it costs us to do all this. And between the ticket sales and the sponsorship, we get pretty close. And we have actually made a little money. Not a lot, but we usually keep our heads just above water with the sponsors.
But do those SEC umpires also do they also call the JUCO game too at first?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, they're there for both games.
Ooh, so they're getting big time umpires.
Well, I didn't know this, but the one that was here that did the game last year, one of them, Max, said he was going to the airport, flying up and doing a game in Purdue the next day.
Wow.
Wow.
So it's pretty neat stuff.
Good deal.
Pretty
Excellent.
neat stuff. So
Well, let's talk a little. First, I want to talk a little bit of Alabama Clemson, Coach.
see a Clemson
Was
fan.
is there really much to talk about?
Alabama.
I mean, is there really a lot to talk about? There wasn't much to the game, really. I mean, I know I'm being a little choppy here tonight. But
Well, but no, you're being snippy. That's what you're not choppy. Chippy.
he can.
Yeah, that was the word Admiral Schofield had when it chippy. Talking about the
Well, what,
Florida fans.
At what point did you realize that game was gone? That it was
Pick
over?
six.
Goal line stance, coach. Had to be the goal line stance before halftime.
Yeah, it was before halftime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that-
Pretty good. Had a little outside hope, but not much.
well, you can never give up. Alabama can always come
Yeah,
back.
they have had comebacks in the second half before, but man, it just got worse the second half, obviously.
So, what is the dynasty over at Alabama? Are they reloading? They've lost all their coaches. The only one left is Saban, and
They lost Jalen Hurts today.
Yeah,
did, to
to
Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. There's only two things that come out of Oklahoma.
Heisman Trophy winners.
Do you think they waited too late to put Jalen Hurts in? I do, but I'm asking you as a coach.
Oh yeah, that's hard to say.
It
You
is.
know, I don't know everything that happened in practice that week, or
Who looked good and who
you
didn't.
know, yeah, what
Who
you know,
might
it's
have
hard to,
might be hurt and whatever.
It's so easy to say that after it's over.
Yeah,
you know,
no
look,
question,
you know, in hindsight, you know, it's so much easier. So, you know, I don't. Tua had played well enough to certainly have some overconfidence be there from his coaches or whatever, or loyalty from his coaches or whatever. That's a tough situation. Jalen handled that whole thing
did.
so well.
He's never been negative.
Yeah,
And he's always been supportive.
I can never, and I know this sounds like I'm saying it because I'm an Alabama fan, but I don't remember a guy in college football that got benched and had so much support.
Yeah.
It just, you know, maybe there's another
Yeah.
example y'all can think of. The Alabama fans still loved him. I mean, when he'd go in a game, he'd get a standing ovation,
Yeah.
which,
Well, he was
You
the
know.
hero of that SEC championship game.
yeah, he was. And,
coming off the bench.
Yeah, he was. And,
That's right.
Against Georgia.
And Kirby was the GOAT.
yeah.
Kirby not too smart, as they were saying after
Well,
the
I
game.
think Saban kind of took a play out of his book almost with that.
On that
You know,
fake
when
field
Kirby
goal.
did a
You
fake
know.
punt, when that was a big bonehead play, and then Saban, they did the fake field goal, and so.
Yeah. But to answer your question, I'm not willing to throw in the towel yet. I'm not going to change teams or anything. I think there's a chance they can still roll on. It's not guaranteed. I mean, it's going to be tough. There's going to be adjustments that have to be made. He's got to put a staff together and.
But they recruit at such an elite level,
Yeah.
year
Yeah.
in, year
And
out, and as long as Saban's there, that's probably going to be
And
the
they don't
case.
have problems finding coaches.
And let's state another obvious fact. Dabo ain't no slouch himself.
And Clemson's very good. They deserved it. There's no question about that. They
definitely went
earned
to play.
everything they got. Yes, and
I'll be back next year.
yeah.
All right, you get Jim Chaney back at UT. You get T. Martin back. Nobody saw that one coming.
No.
Everybody wanted him as head coach, which I don't think is his time.
Not
yet.
not everyone.
Two in this room didn't.
No.
Well, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying the UT nation was looking
I
at
think
T.
you had
Martin
some
at one
people
point.
out there.
Exactly.
Yeah, you
Billy
did.
Bob.
Billy
But it's
Bob
not-
from Maryville
But it's
Billy
not
Bob
his.
from Maryville
It's
won.
not his time.
I don't. Yeah.
But I think he will do good at whatever position they're going to place him. But they've got to get rid of a coach in order for him to be able to serve because they can only have 10 assistants.
I think he can be a good recruiter. Mr. Massey and I were
He's a
talking about that
top-notch
today
recruiter.
from Mobile, Alabama, and the talent down that way. He can
Right.
really help.
Well, and you speak Alabama through the rumor mill was one of the teams that was talking to him about maybe hiring him on there.
Really?
Saban, yeah.
Wow.
And the rumor mill is too that Phil Fulmer stepped in and said, "We ain't letting that happen."
Wow.
I think that's a smart move.
I do
think
too.
Tennessee is where T. Martin needs to be. Whatever. I'm not going to say I know what assignment he should have. But he definitely needs to be.
I think he'd
Well,
make a
he's-
good
he's-
quarterback.
he's kinda-
good
he's had a good
quarterbacks
reputation
coach
as a good wide
slash
receiver coach.
assistant, or
But
coach,
after that, it probably
athletic
gets a
director.
little.
Well, they
They make it a little
probably-
sketchy after that.
Not
but-
athletic director, but offensive coordinator.
But he and Chaney ought to work well together, I would think. Chaney's one of the best offensive minds in college football,
Right.
I think, and did a great job everywhere he's been, including the first round at Tennessee. And I think better days are on the hill. It's going to take a while for us to get back, but I think we're on the way. So.
Coach, how do you feel about that? I mean, you think Tennessee a couple of years would be
Oh, yeah.
very competitive?
Definitely.
Coach Pruitt?
Yes, I definitely see them improving. I think, like anybody trying to come back, they just need some good things to happen. If it's because of good planning, good coaching, good players, if it's luck. Whatever. It doesn't matter really
Good
why
people.
it happens. They just
a little
need some
easier
good
little
things,
easier
yes.
schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As
I've
Chip
seen-
and I used to say when we played golf, I'd rather be lucky than good.
that is a true statement.
The thing they've got to step up because Florida's back. They're going to be good. South Carolina's going to be good. Kentucky's been good.
Yeah.
And I think
It's
that's
not
going to
easier.
continue.
It's not easier.
I could see the conference being better next year and even better
And it
in
needs
2
that.
years. And
Well, and I've had a theory here that Clemson rise has had something to do with Tennessee's demise
I can agree
because
with that.
because we used to make a living out of North Carolina and South Carolina high school talent,
He
well, the
sure-
Georgia kids.
Yep.
And
And
home
Carl
kids, and now look what's going on.
Yep.
You
You're
got
right.
you got the quarterback from Clemson's from Fall Branch. That's right outside of Kingsport.
Mm-hmm.
And then
But they've got him listed as Cartersville, Georgia.
Well, that's because he moved down there.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, he
but
moved down
but
there,
but the interesting
but-
thing about that, he wore number 16
And
because he's a Peyton Manning fan.
Exactly.
And but the thing is, though, he didn't
So-
take over until the third game of the season. So he was
True
actually
freshman.
a quarterback, backup quarterback.
But I was just using this as an example how that's got to stop.
Yeah.
They can't let the good ones get out of the state like that's been going on. And Clemson's been making a living coming over here. They signed a kid out of Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This past go around too. So
Well, they got Robbie Caldwell working this area.
Yeah,
Or he
that's-
was.
Yeah,
used to have Dan Brooks working it.
Yep.
yeah,
That's one of the biggest screw ups they ever did, firing Dan Brooks.
yeah.
Yeah, he paid him back in spades. A lot of this is him coming over here and
Yeah.
starting that foundation and getting the Tennessee boys to go over there. Yeah. You know that. You've probably seen that over the years.
Yeah, yeah.
know. Anyway.
They definitely is one of the things that's got to be accomplished, reestablishing themselves in the state, and which is not easy to do. I mean, Alabama lost the top player, and he scored a touchdown
Playing for Clemson too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can happen no matter how well you do it. But there is
Yeah.
definitely room for Tennessee's program to improve through in-state recruiting. I think that, of course, Alabama and Georgia are at the top. I think most people would agree with that. But out of Texas A&M, Florida, and Tennessee, one of those three is going to join those two at the top. I just believe that's got to happen. And you can make a case for each of them.
Coach, I'll tell you, you're the kind of Alabama fan I like. You really are, because you call it like it is. I mean, but I agree with that.
Hey, but I've also got to bring up, and it'd be awful if I don't do this. There's another head coach that's named Ballou in East Tennessee.
Yeah, that's true.
So let's talk about what Eric's taking on.
Yeah, Eric, our youngest, took on the head coaching job at Crossville, Cumberland County High School. So we're excited. All this happened right before Christmas, and he has actually already started over there. He's been on since school started back. He's been there and moved in from Atlanta. He's organized the off-season program and got things organized for spring practice, and he's excited. Now, I don't know that there's ever been a coach happier to be a head coach all of a sudden than he is. So he's definitely happier than I was, because I was 6 hours before kickoff, and they said, "You're it." So,
Yeah, and I remember that game.
yeah,
That was a Riverdale game at MTSU.
yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, it was.
Because I was with the band program at that point, and we walked in the stadium, and I went, "My Lord, those kids go from this sideline to this sideline." I said, "This is incredible."
Yeah, they were.
A lot of kids on that team.
Yeah. Yeah, we were 0-2, and I had not been the head coach a full day yet.
Yep.
But,
Gosh, you got thrown in the fire, didn't you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But back to Eric,
They're the Jets.
they're the Jets.
Yep.
They were 0-10 this past year. It's obviously a rebuilding situation.
Their logo is cool. It's an F-14 Tomcat.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that is slick.
They actually have one on campus.
Yeah.
And then they've got another one. I'm not sure what it is. So one in front of the school and one out by the football
Way
stadium.
cool.
Really nice.
So has he called the master, the winner of the state championship in 2010, and asked for any kind of head coaching advice?
Oh, yeah. It's not what most people would think. I mean, it's not about plays yet. He's still trying to get it established. It's more like, today was about equipment and stuff, things like that, and when to do spring practice and things. So he's got a lot to get organized.
Do they have a Jones and
short
Lang
period
up
of
there?
They do not. So that's something he's got to. That's a choice he's got to eventually
See,
make.
he's got to get the coach's fall collection from some sporting
That's
goods
right.
place.
He sure does.
He'll do
He's
Need to get a
working on it.
gridiron association behind them to.
They actually they have a booster club that is established and ended the year with a healthy bottom line.
Good.
So
Good.
he went into a situation where there was already actually some money there. So that's always good. They seem really hungry.
I noticed he posted on Facebook their schedule for this upcoming season, and looks like we have a common opponent on that schedule, White County.
Well, actually, that is true that they play White County. We do not.
Oh, really?
White County elected to basically drop out of the playoff system, so they can go out and schedule who they want to and not be part of a district. So we lost.
So they're independent now.
Yes, basically, yeah.
Well,
They're
congratulations.
still in the
Eric.
TSSAA, but they're not competing for the playoffs. So they don't have to pay a region schedule.
Well, congratulations, Eric.
Dan and
I'm
I
so
already.
tickled. We're planning a road trip.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
that'd
already
be
planning
great.
a road trip.
He will love seeing you there, no doubt about that.
Who are some of the teams that they play?
Station Camp is Stone Memorial is a new high school in Crossville, so they're the crosstown rival. They're in their district as well. But they do play White County, although, as I said, they're not in their district. Meigs County, they played last year but will not play this year. And all of a sudden, I can't remember. There's 5 in his district, and I can't remember which ones they are. They play
Monterey
Clay County.
Is it a county school or
Monterey
a
is
city?
not. It is a county school.
County school.
Okay.
And there are several, county schools up in that area because, once you get in between Knoxville and Cookeville, there's not many large cities at all. They're mostly
Crossville.
middle-sized, and smaller. Yeah.
Crossville and Cookeville.
Crossville, that's about it. On interstate.
All right, I want you to put on your coach's hat and your official's hat for a second.
All right.
I came up with a scenario the other day that I want you to know about.
All right.
That I thought about.
Okay.
Running back comes across the line after being handed the ball. Okay, I want you to visualize this. He fumbles it, but he fumbles it into the hand of an official standing across from him, and the official grabs the ball and has it. What happens?
Well, anytime an official is involved in anything like that, he's part of the field. So, of course, being an official, he could blow it dead if he chose to. I mean, they always have the option of doing that. But he could just drop the ball and let play continue, and that's the way it would be. I don't know why they don't talk about that on television more when it happens. When you see a official get in the middle of a block or, block the vision of a receiver or whatever, that's the way it is.
And the only reason I bring that up, I almost saw that in a game the other day, and the fact that the guy came across and got it knocked forward out of his hand,
Right.
and the official nearly caught it because the play was like that quick.
Then you immediately tackle the official.
I have
They
seen.
covered everything.
I have seen in the past where a ball was fumbled and a guy picks it up and then he kind of just tosses it to the official, and the official kind of puts his hands up and lets it hit him and drop down and play continued.
Which would be the correct way to do
Right.
it.
It happens in basketball too.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of basketball, UT
Tennessee
on
plays
fire.
Alabama Saturday, 1 p.m. Thompson Bowling Arena.
That's what Ty's been waiting to talk about.
Tennessee basketball. It's Alabama, Tennessee this weekend. So
Don't look at me when you say Alabama.
I'm
Look
just
at
fired
Coach.
up.
GBO.
My boss is fired up. We're all fired
That's
up.
right.
Chip's fired up. This is going to be. I'm not going to get too confident, but this is going to be probably one of the best Tennessee basketball seasons in the history of the school. I do believe that.
Is Rick Barnes doing it right?
He's doing it right, and he's got class.
Well, I mean, it's been a long time since
he's
a
got-
Tennessee coach has done it
There's
right.
character, there's discipline, there's passion. They got a little excited after the game against the Gators with some of the things that the Florida Gator Nation was saying. And
Well, they don't like Tennessee players doing the chomp. They don't.
Well,
like
we
it.
don't like
Well-
them either. So
I think that the players are right in some of the things that were being said before the game and during the game. I can only imagine how bad it probably was, but I think Rick Barnes is probably trying to keep them focused on the mission at hand, and that's winning and getting back to Knoxville and focusing on the next game.
You
We
won't
just need to get
remember
Troy
this.
Landry to go down and take care of the Gators.
Ty won't remember this, but used to when Coach Mears brought the Vols in to play Vanderbilt, he was the first one to come out of the dressing room and walk around Memorial where they'd throw the oranges at him to take the pressure
He's a
off.
marketing guy. Mr. Massey's let me borrow his book.
Oh,
He's a smart guy.
he's a genius.
on this day of the one and
Large
done
as that.
of the college basketball, it's refreshing to see old school, and that's what we're seeing here. These Schofield, all these Grant Williams, they're all 3 and 4 year guys, been in the system, grown. Barnes had an opportunity to coach them up, teach them. A bunch of no-name kids didn't have all the 5 stars behind them. You really don't see that much in college basketball anymore now.
They're playing as a unit, and that's what I
And
like.
I mean, they're a team,
Right.
And then
They
you
really are.
being a coach, I know you appreciate that. They truly are a team, and it's
Thank goodness Texas was stupid.
and they really were.
I think that's what makes us excited more about this
Yeah.
team and this season is because we know the character of the players and how it's united. And
Yeah, just look at the Florida game. You know, Schofield and Grant Williams had a combined 3 or 5 points in the first half against Florida, and we're still up by 11.
Yeah.
And we were down by 9, and then we're up by 11,
players
and everyone else stepped up.
Well, you got a whole bench.
Turner.
Got a whole bench, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and these young men that play for him, you don't have to worry about picking up the newspaper or reading about one of them failing a drug test or
Right.
getting in trouble or flunking out and all that. They're all good students. They're focused, and it truly is a team. So we'll see what happens.
And your Predators are back on the winning
They are. They won last night and second in the division.
7-2.
Yeah, second in the division behind Winnipeg, but still a lot of hockey left. But I think they'll be right back in the mix competing.
But
Getting
didn't
players back.
Yeah, but the thing is, the players that were not starters when the starters were hurt were actually doing better than the guys when they came back.
Hockey's such a long season.
I know.
I mean, if you
Well, they
make it
play
to the
until
championship,
July.
yeah, and then you turn around and it's preseason again in September. I mean, so it's a long season. I used to say in school that hockey's like
Kind of like
your
racing.
school
isn't it?
year. Starts in August and ends when school gets out. I mean, it's a long season. So, but I do think the Predators are poised to bring back excitement to Tennessee and make it a hockey town for playoffs, and I think they'll do well. So, but again, it's a long season. So,
And you got the NFL draft coming to Nashville.
I say we
So
take
that's
one of
gonna
the
be
soccer fields down at Ridley and turn it into an ice rink.
hey, I tell you this.
Hey, I'm talking. And once the Courtyard by Marriott
Yeah,
comes,
yeah,
and we get the 110 motel rooms,
I promise you
I'm telling you, it'd work.
that man down there can make it. He is a leader, and he is always thinking and marketing
know.
his city. And if it can be done, he'll make it happen.
Oh, he's already thinking.
Yeah,
I know he is.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you this: Mac wants to have lacrosse down there.
Yeah,
I think
It's a
that
lot
just
to
got
come.
sanctioned as a TSSAA sport.
It did?
Here in
Yeah.
the last,
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And those soccer fields are also, you can play lacrosse on them, so that's an opportunity for us too.
Did someone tell me, or am I dreaming, that you can do kind of colorful lights with the lights that they're putting in out there, or some kind of?
We are the first soccer complex in Tennessee which will have LED lighting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. So that's a neat thing.
It is. I mean, Lindsey Nelson Stadium now has LED lighting, but with that, you don't get the overflow of the lights to light everything else up around in the parking lot.
We can
area.
relate to that because we park cars for Kiwanis.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, it's pitch dark out there
I
now.
know.
Yeah.
We've
I know.
had to
Yeah.
use lighters
Yeah.
and flashlights.
Don't get any of that.
Yeah, we've
you have that-
complained and complained about it. And even like on the scoreboard, all you see is the digital numbers that are up there. You can't see the
You can't see
writing
the
that's
letters.
on
The writing is on there.
scoreboard.
Really?
You know.
Well, some of that could be your eyes might not be as good as my young guys. There could be some.
Let me
Anyway,
explain.
we'll leave that to the Parks Motor scoreboard.
No. Let me explain something to you. Since I had the cataract removed out of my right eye, it's bionic, baby. It's good stuff.
He still
I can
has the
see
Volkswagen
good.
in the other
I got the
one.
Volkswagen over here.
It's all in fun. I love y'all. You know.
I know that.
$6 million man, right?
That's it. On this one side, I am. This side,
And Ty probably doesn't know. That's like WKRP in Cincinnati.
it
He,
is.
he wouldn't know anything
He's
about
got
that.
no clue.
Well, you know, we've talked about a lot of great things, and I do want to say it's since 2013, since Mr. Massey arrived, this city's really taken off, and his leadership has been a blessing in this city, and you can see all the great things that are happening, whether it's the Mid-State Classic, Arts District, Firefighters Park. We could go on and on about everything the city's engaged in, and it's being talked about statewide, and that credit goes to him and his leadership. I know I've been through a lot of good times with him and tough times, and we've been through some tragic times, but his leadership has been exceptional through all that, and not only is he a great boss for me, and he cares about this city, but he's a great friend too, and I know he's a great friend to all of us. So,
And I think he was telling me that my son got something today.
Yeah, your son is the new chair of the Columbia Arts Council.
There you go. Ross Janes. Janes Media.
Yeah.
I'm the voice of Janes Media,
Now-
but I have nothing to do with it.
That's right. Now to pick up on that, just to let you know that it is getting close to budget time.
Yeah, okay.
And, there'll be a wish list coming from Ty. So
I've been one of those people.
Thank you, though. I appreciate the words.
I have never complained about paying city taxes or county taxes because I put stuff out on the street that gets gone. If I need the fire department, they'll come. Police department, they'll come.
Since Mr. Massey's been here, we've been ISO Class 1 department. So
that's right.
Public safety, police department.
Absolutely.
Top. So, but I'm just glad to work with him every day.
I will say this. I've worked for several cities over my career, and I can say this with a high level of confidence. There's no public safety department in any of the places anywhere in Tennessee that are any better than the Columbia Fire Department and the Columbia Police Department. They're top notch.
Good. And he clicked his heels together and said, "There's no place like home."
That's right.
Tony Massey, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we're out of here for this Wednesday evening. We'll see you next week. Next Wednesday, 6 o'clock.